Now on Nightside, a growing number of scammers are using cryptocurrency as bait to lure in victims in romance scams and other fraud schemes.
You will need your shovels in the morning. The snow is picking up again. I'll tell you about a winter weather advisory in your first alert forecast.
A Wenatchee woman who went to Turkey to help earthquake survivors has returned to the States to share what she saw. You're watching 4 News Now Nightside. Thanks for staying up with us. I'm Aaron Luna. From tornadoes to golf ball-sized hail, dangerous weather across the country today. This tornado touched down near Champaign, Illinois. There was also a second tornado that touched down in the same area. In Norman, Oklahoma, people spent today cleaning up from a storm that flipped over cars, flooded streets, and destroyed homes. Tornadoes, rain sent people running.
A real strong wind. I was standing out in the garage. My wife went to the neighbors to get in a shelter. Wood and debris started flying and hitting things, so I jumped in the back seat of a car in the garage real quick, but it didn't last very long, but thank goodness everybody's okay.
The storms brought golf ball-sized hail from Kansas to Texas. In Southern California, people are cleaning up from a rare winter storm. Snow in the mountains plus rain and heavy winds triggered major flooding. This roof partially collapsed, trees ripped from their roots. A mudslide damaged this family's home. The back 3 bedrooms destroyed. To tell us what we can expect in the inland Northwest, here's Chief Meteorologist Chris Crocker.
Well, we have another round of snow moving in. Some snow this evening, then a break, and now it's picking up again around the Spokane area. Still a little bit light around Coeur d'Alene. That will not be the case for long. Things will really get going in the next couple of hours. Here's a broader view on our radar, hopefully. There we go. And you can see that break that we had this evening with more snow coming in. Expect steady snow for the next hour or so, and then we'll start to see things taper off a little bit. But here's a look at the winter weather advisory that is in effect through Tuesday afternoon. We are looking at snowfall totals in Spokane of an additional 2 to 4 inches. That's in addition to what we've received early this evening. 3 to 5 from Coeur d'Alene up through North Idaho and the central panhandle. 2 around Moscow and Pullman. 1 to 3 in the upper Columbia Basin as well as in the Okanagan. Temperatures right now have dropped below freezing, so some of that non-accumulating snow you may have experienced in the rush hour is now accumulating. There are many roads that are covered with snow right now, and they will be waiting for you in the morning commute. We'll stay below freezing through the first part of the day tomorrow. Winds will also be picking up as a front pushes through with gusts up to 30 miles per hour. A high tomorrow of 35, and we'll see that snow tapering off mid to late afternoon. We've got another break before the next system moves in on Thursday. I'll tell you all about it in your forecast. Aaron.
Chris, thank you. New tonight on Nightside, the FBI wants to warn you to watch out for a growing trend. A growing number of scammers are using cryptocurrency as bait to lure victims in romance scams and other fraud schemes.
You see these false promises of easy money being combined with people's limited knowledge or limited experience with cryptocurrency, and it sets it up for really the perfect storm for a scam.
The FBI says more than 19,000 victims reported losing over $739 million to romance scammers last year. Dennis Corey from Portland, Oregon says a romance chat turned into a crypto trading partnership and left him hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt in just 1 month.
Emotionally drained, physically drained, psychologically drained.
Corey says he took out loans, advances on credit cards, and wiped out his savings to pay off his debt.
I want to make it out there public so people will be aware and not to get involved in this.
New on Nightside, DNA, a GPS tracker, and a sweet potato helped solve a cold case murder. 40-year-old Devarius Hampton was charged with murder today, exactly 12 years after Todd Lampley was found shot to death in 2011. The lead that resulted in Hampton's arrest was a phone tied to the name Marlo Stanfield, a fictional character in an HBO series, The Wire. In the show, a sweet potato had been used as the silencer, and investigators had found a sweet potato with Hampton's DNA at the scene of the murder. Prosecutors say they can place Hampton at the home at the time of the murder because of data from a GPS monitor he was wearing because of a previous crime. He has a court date scheduled for April 15th. A 12-year-old is dead. Another child is hurt after a shooting at a birthday party in Wisconsin over the weekend. While officials haven't released exact details yet, family members believe the dispute broke out between teenagers over a pair of designer glasses. The venue owner, Amy Thompson, says every precaution was taken and the shooting still happened.
Parents were here and her aunt at the front door. They were frisking people, patting them down, making sure that nobody was coming in with anything. There was guidance up here. I'm very sorry that this happened. I hope that they catch these kids. I don't know what's going on nowadays with kids that you can't throw a birthday party.
Well, police are still investigating the shooting.
Well, we are just about a day away from the beginning of March, and you know what that means. The NCAA tournament is nearly upon us, as many of the teams in our region are set to make one last push to either get into the tournament or improve their tournament resumes. After beating St. Mary's on Saturday night, the Gonzaga men made a jump into the top 10 in the latest Associated Press Top 25 poll. While these rankings don't matter when it comes to the tournament committee, it does show a pathway for the Bulldogs to potentially jump into a number 2 seed. Currently, the latest ESPN bracketology has them as a 3 seed in the West region and headed to Orlando for the first 2 rounds. And despite the 5 losses on the season, Gonzaga still proving why they are one of the best teams in the country, compiling a record 25 wins for the 16th straight year. On the women's side, they also saw a jump in the polls, coming in at number 15, up 3 spots from the previous week. Over the weekend, the Bulldogs beat BYU down in Provo to claim the WCC regular season title outright and also claim their 27th win on the season. Now, despite all of those wins and the ranking, the Zags still not getting much respect in the latest bracketology. ESPN has them as an 8 seed in the Seattle region and playing in the first 2 rounds down in Salt Lake City. And the Eastern Washington Eagles dropped their regular season finale on Monday night against Montana State after going more than 70 days without a loss. The Eagles now finish a conference play with back-to-back losses. However, still enter the Big Sky tournament as the number 1 seed, but will still need to win it in order to make the NCAA tournament, as Selection Sunday is now less than 2 weeks away. And coming up a bit later on in sports, we're going to have the full highlights and post-game reaction from the Eagles game earlier this evening. Aaron, send it back over to you.
Alex, thank you. A Wenatchee woman who went to Turkey to help earthquake survivors has returned to the States to share what she saw. And a vote on a hot-button issue in City Council tonight, the Spokane housing crisis and the resources that landlords and tenants could have moving forward.
Watch tonight for the sexiest show of the year. You ever just look up to the heavens and go, God, why did you make me so handsome?
Track live radar on the 4 News Now weather app.
4 News Now is brought to you by Satay Bistro and Catering Company.
Big Table helps restaurant and hospitality workers in crisis and transition, offering care, coaching, and support.
Too often, the person preparing or serving your food is struggling to put food on their own table. Big Table serves hope through crisis intervention and relational care.
Numerica Credit Union is honored to partner with organizations like Big Table as they help enhance lives, fulfill dreams, and build communities.
Check out more organizations that make our community stronger at numericacu.com.
I feel safer when you're in the building.
Over 10,000 stars.
History making.
5 U.S. presidents.
The funny man.
Yes. And 20 years of explosive, iconic, heartfelt.
Are you sure about that?
Jimmy Kimmel Live, weeknights on ABC.
Broadway's Tony-winning Best Musical is Dear Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen, March 14th through 19th at First Interstate Center for the Arts.
You will be found.
Find your tickets at BroadwaySpokane.com today.
Hey, have you seen this TikTok family pairing thing?
Yeah, it's a bunch of settings we can customize.
So, like...
So Shauna's parents will be like, okay. Okay, so I'm thinking 40 minutes of screen time a day. And Shawno's all like, what? I think 60 is fair. Or you know how Ricky posts those 6 solos? Well, his dad's like, these are sick, but they're only sick for you and your friends. Or you could be like, I'm extending your screen time, son, and your curfew.
I don't sound like that. Do I sound like that?
Spokane Hope Center for children born deaf and hard of hearing. They've got the kids. They don't have the room. We're expanding their theater of operations, refreshing offices, and it's all going to happen at the end of the month. The 4 News Now Extreme Team brought to you by Horizon Credit Union.
4 News Now is brought to you by Super One Foods Meat Sale.
The snow is picked up again in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. 28 degrees right now in Coeur d'Alene with snow in progress. Looks pretty good on US 95 right now. It is wet. 28 degrees right now in Spokane. The crews are out doing their de-icing, but there's more snow coming overnight. Here are 4 things to know about your forecast. Snow coming tonight, an additional 1 to 3 by Tuesday morning. Then we're going to get another inch through Tuesday morning after the commute. Highs will be above freezing. We are going to be dry for Wednesday before the next system moves in. Forecast radar showing another band of snow coming up right around 6 o'clock. A fresh dusting of snow through the morning commute. Here's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then we start to see more hit and miss snow showers through the afternoon. By 5 o'clock, all of the snow showers are to the north and east of the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene area, and they will start to taper off even further tomorrow late evening. Our wind speeds tomorrow will be the highest right around noon. These are sustained winds, but wind gusts will be in the 30 miles per hour range. Thanks to this passing cold front behind the front will keep the snow showers going, especially in the mountain areas. Here's 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. That front stalls out to our north and keeps the chance of some snow showers going in the mountains for Wednesday. Otherwise, Wednesday, expect dry conditions. And then here comes our next front on the way for Thursday with another round of accumulating snow. Overnight lows tonight will be down in the 20s around the region. Not much cooler than our current readings. High temperatures tomorrow just above freezing. This late in the season with the sun angle such as it is, hopefully we can get our roads at least in good shape. They tend to heat up a little more efficiently this late in the season. 36 on Wednesday with dry conditions. More snow on Thursday, then another break, and then more snow ahead for the weekend. High temperatures staying below average through the 7-day forecast. Our average high is in the mid 40s. I'll be back in just a few minutes with some fantastic aurora borealis photos, Aaron.
Thank you, Chris. New on Nightside, a Wenatchee woman went to Turkey to help survivors of the earthquake that tore through the area. Now she's back in the States, sharing her experience and describing what ongoing relief efforts look like overseas. Brady Wakayama has the story.
To walk away from this, but their lives are in shambles, and it's going to take so much time to recover from that.
Jamie Smith reflecting on what she says was the most impactful trip of her life.
A lot of the buildings that were left standing were no longer safe to live in. So a lot of people were, living in tent cities that were popping up, or they're living around little, fires that they're building in between the rubble.
We spoke with Smith, a nurse who lives in Wenatchee, earlier this month. She, along with 3 other volunteers through the nonprofit organization Impact Northwest, made their way to Turkey to provide help. Just 2 days after the devastating earthquake rocked the country.
You have a whole generation now that has lost somebody, and there's just going to be that trauma that comes from that, and just that grief that comes from that. So your heart just really went out to everybody there, just knowing what they have ahead of them.
Over 10 days, she and her team drove more than 2,600 miles throughout Turkey, providing food, water, and blankets to countless families impacted.
So many people going through such a hard thing, and just to see their generosity and their kindness and how good they were to each other. It was just a great reminder of the humanity that is still out there.
Smith says she would be more than willing to go back to provide additional aid, and hopes others will consider doing anything they can to help as well.
I would just hope if we had something that happened here in the U.S. to that scale, that we would also be getting help from other nations, because it's too much for one country to deal with. And I think the more we're able to help each other, it makes it overall a better world.
The cost of housing is a major issue in Spokane for people renting and those who own apartments or houses. Spokane City Council passed a package aimed at broadening tenant protections this evening. The package will bring a multitude of different things that would go into effect, including a $15 door fee that tenants would pay every year. And that money would go into a pool that could assist both landlords and tenants. For example, if you're living in an apartment which is not up to code and you have a landlord that refuses to improve living conditions, that money would assist the tenant in relocating to an apartment that's up to code and lawyers to pursue compensation. Or if a landlord rents to a high-risk tenant, they could tap into the pool of money to assist in evicting that tenant. And that money would also go towards hiring new housing inspectors and navigators to mediate problems between renters and landlords.
The heart of this ordinance raises several $100,000 a year to hire 3 new housing inspectors and 1 housing navigator. Code enforcement inspectors will go out not just to answer complaints, but really proactively go out and inspect places and make sure that they're up to code. And if the landlords won't do it, they'll take enforcement action against them.
Another policy within this package would require all landlords to obtain a business license, which would cost them about $130 per year. Well, pending home sales climbed more than 8% from December to January, according to the National Association of Realtors. The reason for the uptick is likely because mortgage rates fell during that time. For the past several weeks, mortgage rates have been on the climb again. Right now, the monthly payment on an average house is about 45% more than it was just a year ago. We are now learning a man who disappeared out of Spokane Valley 10 days ago has been found. Sheriff's deputies say Paul Allen's girlfriend reported him missing on February 16th. She couldn't get a hold of him the day before. Deputies say she was concerned about his health. Now the sheriff's office says Allen has resurfaced in the Tri-Cities and that his family is in contact with him. A school district under fire for failing to take action when alleged acts of racism happened. Why some parents are suing.
Stream 4 News Now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app.
Big Table helps restaurant and hospitality workers in crisis and transition, offering care, coaching, and support.
Too often, the person preparing or serving your food is struggling to put food on their own table. Big Table serves hope through crisis intervention and relational care.
Numerica Credit Union is honored to partner with organizations like Big Table as they help enhance lives, fulfill dreams, and build communities.
Check out more organizations that make our community stronger at numericacu.com.
For over 6 decades, first as the Spokane Guild School, now as Joya, we have been providing care that is second to none. Now we have a building to match. Joya, every child is limitless.
For a limited time only, get a new John Deere 1023E compact utility tractor with a 120E loader for only $199 per month. Take advantage of this exclusive offer for low monthly payments on top-of-the-line equipment that gets the job done, backed by our consistent quality customer service. Hurry in to your local Pape Machinery Ag and Turf store today to cash in on these limited time offers and get your property ready for the spring ahead. Pape keeps you moving.
92.9 CCU. CCU.
Hey, Greens. How's everything going today?
Hey, Robert. We're good. Just checking in on that car loan we applied for.
No worries. Let me pull that up. Yep. Looks like you're approved and all set.
Hey, that's great news.
So, you headed over to the dealership now?
Yep. Just gotta make one stop first.
And we got a great rate, too.
Ford News Now is brought to you by Perfection Tire.
Temperatures today were closer to average. We hit 39 degrees in Spokane, but 43 is our average high, 19 to start the day, 28 is our average morning low. 5:32, our sunset time. That's getting later, but that's about the only sign of spring coming in the forecast. We do not get up to average in the 7-day forecast. You can see over the next 7 days, we're down here in the mid to upper 30s. Meanwhile, our average high is cruising into the mid 40s. It is almost March after all. But as we take a look at the temperature trend for March 7th through March 13th, boy, we are in the deepest, darkest, naviest of blues here at the very, very far left edge of this. We don't find ourselves in this dark of blue very often. So the confidence that our colder than average temperatures will continue is very strong. Precipitation is another matter, however, just in light green, well, and only for part of the region. Most of the region is in this gray. So we're right on the borderline between above average precipitation and average precipitation, but I don't think we're going to be done with the snow. With some clearing last night, people in North Idaho and eastern Washington were treated to an amazing aurora borealis display. Many people say it's some of the strongest northern lights they have seen. This photo is from John Kirby. He captured this image west of Bonners Ferry, and it is not very often we get those darker reds in this area. I love this next picture because it's got a little bit of purple on it, my favorite color, from Van Widner. This was north along the Canadian border. Oh, and you can see there that it has got those purples. Very, very nice, Than. Thank you so much for that. And finally, one last photo from Tracy Tuttle. She captured this image over Schweitzer Mountain. What a great foreground to go with the incredible northern lights. Thank you so much, everyone, for the pictures, and congratulations on getting to see such a spectacular sight.
That is spectacular. Thank you, Chris. More than 387,000 people in Washington and Idaho have been pre-approved to receive thousands of dollars of federal student loan forgiveness. That's according to the Department of Education. But a federal appeals court temporarily halted the program back in November. That could change during tomorrow's arguments at the Supreme Court. 2 cases challenging President Biden's plan to cancel some of that debt for millions of borrowers will come before the justices. It will be a busy day at the court tomorrow as a number of advocacy groups for student loan forgiveness plan to be outside to demonstrate their support for the president's plan. The outcome of the arguments will put thousands of dollars in repayment relief at stake for some individual borrowers. A school district outside of Los Angeles is under fire for failing to take action when alleged acts of racism took place at an elementary school. Several families are now suing Upland Unified School District after bullies targeted a number of black and mixed-race students. Tina Ezzadine has details.
4 handmade cards from classmates at Pepper Tree Elementary in Upland, prompting 4 families to now sue.
Our son was targeted in this way. So what we want is there to be transparency.
The pain present on the faces of black and biracial 11 and 12-year-olds who say fellow 6th graders taunted them with racist cards. One reads, "You're my favorite monkey." Another, "To my favorite cotton picker." And this drawing of a figure hanging from a tree.
And it said, "To my favorite cotton picker." And that made me feel like I didn't know that they actually thought of me that way.
The parents contend the Upland School District failed to act against an assistant principal and a teacher whose own children also attend the elementary, whose students believe are the authors of the cards and harassment in the halls.
It's just been going on for just a really long time. They've just been sweeping it under the rug.
The attorney declaring the district's focus is cover-up rather than correcting the issue.
The N-word. Monkey, animals, creatures, slaves. That is what these children, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th graders, have been subjected to.
1 week ago, it was standing room only as the district held its regularly scheduled meeting. Parents disappointed in the district for taking too long, they say, to send this letter notifying other families about the incidents.
I found out 2 weeks ago from a teacher on campus, a tenured teacher, that no training of that sort has taken place.
The parents plan to sue the district for civil rights violations and are now asking the state attorney general to investigate, demanding answers, taking legal action to get them. In Mid-Wilshire, Tina Ezzedine, KCAL News.
The Eastern Washington Eagles were looking to avoid back-to-back losses for the first time since December. Coming up in sports, Alex Crescenti has the highlights from tonight's regular season finale against Montana State.
Sign up for breaking news alerts with the 4 News Now app.
4 News Now is brought to you by the Tony Award-winning Best Musical, Dear Evan Hansen.
I have to admit, I wasn't expecting to be asked to host the Oscars again, but...
Well, let me be perfectly clear. You were not my first choice. In fact, we asked a lot of people before you.
Well, I'd rather not know who they were.
Let me tell you. Steve Martin, Steve Carell, Steve Buscemi, Steve Austin, Steve Seagal, Steve Urkel, Steve from Blue's Clues. That's just the Steves.
Did you ask Steve Harvey?
Begged Steve Harvey.
He would have been good.
Steve Harvey would have been incredible. Are you kidding me?
When I was 18, I really wanted to go to college, so I took out some private loans. I kept paying and paying and paying and paying, but they just wouldn't go down. BECU helped me tremendously because they allowed me to rebuild my credit. They really helped me get back on my feet.
Your kids want smartphones, but too much screen time can be dangerous. How do parents find a healthy balance, and what's at stake if we don't? I'm Derek Dice. 4 News Now starts the conversation with my special report, The Social Media Effect, Tuesday on Good Morning Northwest.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll get right to the point. It's the extended President's Day super sale at Denver Mattress.
President, what's that mean for the average American?
It means saving $100 off every $1,000 you spend.
And Tempur-Pedic?
With bipartisan support, we've allocated up to $500 savings on select mattress sets and a $300 gift.
And how will the people pay for these so-called savings?
Try 4 years no interest and free shipping. Hurry! The extended President's Day super sale at Denver Mattress ends soon.
Nobody likes keeping track of a wallet full of credit cards with complicated rewards categories, and members of BECU don't have to. Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back and no annual fee with the Cashback Visa from BECU. Power in people.
Well, the Eastern Washington men's basketball team hadn't lost back-to-back games since the middle of December, and tonight they were hoping that wouldn't be the case as they were getting ready for Big Sky tournament play this weekend, and Montana State coming to town simply for the role of spoiler as the two teams were already locked into the 1 and 2 spots in the upcoming tournament. But the Bobcats, they came out swinging in this game. Raekwon Battle drives to the basket, gets the layup and the contact as he's headed to the line to make it a 3-point play. Eagles didn't shoot well in the first half, but trying to stay with MSU as Angelo Allegri drops the defender and scores the difficult bucket at the rim. He'd be playing in his final game on Reese Court. Montana State starting to pull away towards the end of the half. Jubril Bello gets the alley-oop dunk, and Montana State goes into the break with a 13-point lead. In the second half, the Bobcats' Darius Brown Jr. with a little step back and nails the 3 as the lead for MSU grows to as much as 17 points. But there is no quit in this Eastern team as Steele Venters with a step back 3 of his own to cut into the deficit. A few minutes later, it's going to be Allegri from deep, and what a performance he's having on senior night. And the Eagles eventually close the gap to within just 2 points. However, just with over a minute to go, Bello closes the door on that comeback with a statement dunk, and Montana State survives a massive rally by Eastern Washington. And after starting conference play 16-0, the Eagles drop their final 2 games of the regular season, but this isn't hurting their confidence as they now shift their attention towards Boise.
Montana State is a great team. They made some great plays, but we just didn't. It's going to be really clear what the film shows, and hey, we got to be this team and not this team, and these guys know it. They've done it for, I don't know, someone said it was like 70-something days since our last loss. Like, we know what we got to do. It'll be great to have a couple practices and go kick some butt in Boise.
Eagles will open up their tournament play on Sunday afternoon, either against Idaho or NAU. And with just 2 weeks left before Selection Sunday, there isn't much time for college basketball teams to improve their tournament resume, but the Gonzaga Bulldogs are one program trending up right now. The Zags men and women both coming off of huge wins this past weekend that saw them each clinch at least a share of the WCC regular season title, as they are now primed for their conference tournaments starting later this week. On the men's side, they swept both San Diego and St. Mary's this past weekend and were rewarded with a jump to the number 10 spot in the latest Associated Press Top 25 poll. While these rankings don't really matter when it comes to the tournament committee, it does show a pathway for the Bulldogs to potentially jump into a number 2 seed. Currently, the latest ESPN bracketology has them as the number 3 seed in the West region and headed to Orlando and Disney World for the first 2 rounds. And despite the 5 losses on the season, Gonzaga is still proving why they are one of the best teams in the country year in and year out, compiling a record 25 wins for the 16th straight year.
That's an incredible stat, and it's all we owe it to these players that came through here, all of them now on a stat like that were able to do something like that, because winning 25 is tough. So I mean, that's another one of those streaks. I wasn't even aware of that, but that it definitely shows the strength and the stay power of where our programs have.
Before the Bulldogs head off to Vegas for the WCC tournament, they will have one final matchup at home, this time against Chicago State on Wednesday evening. On the women's side, they also saw a jump in the polls, coming in at number 15, up 3 spots from the previous week. Over the weekend, the Bulldogs beat BYU down in Provo to claim the WCC regular season title outright and also claim their 27th win on the season. Despite the amount of wins and the ranking, though, Zags still not getting much respect in the latest bracketology. ESPN has them as an 8 seed in the Seattle region, playing their first 2 rounds down in Salt Lake City, but they still have a chance to improve their standing with potentially 2 games left. They'll play a semifinal of the WCC tournament on Monday afternoon. Opponent still to be determined. 4 News Now, we'll be right back.
Stream 4 News Now on your TV for free with the KXLY Plus app. At 4 News Now, we believe you should expect more from local news. Our team is committed to a community conversation and bringing you information you need when and where you need it. Numerica believes in and supports that mission.
If your checking account isn't earning you money, it's time to switch to bonus checking from Numerica. The account that earns an incredible 2% annual percentage yield. That could earn you up to $500 every year or more.
Looking for style, power, and technology wrapped in Buick luxury? The 2023 Buick Envision Compact SUV has just what you're looking for, with technology like Amazon Alexa built-in, wireless smartphone charging, head-up display, and wireless compatibility for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Take the wheel and lease an Envision for just $345 a month. Come see the selection of new Buicks just off I-90 at George Gee Buick GMC, the top volume GMC Buick dealer in Washington State.
Vroom, vroom. Oh, don't worry. I'll make sure to leave plenty of space when I pass by. I think 200 feet is right here. Thank you. That looks safe to me. And if I can't move over, I promise I'll slow down at least 10 miles an hour below the speed limit or no more than 50 miles an hour. You promise? Promise.
We want everyone to get home at the end of the day. When you see vehicles with flashing lights or people working on the side of the road, move over or slow down.
At Washington Trust Bank, can't is a 4-letter word.
I think I'll sell my veggies at the market.
You even remember to water the house plants. I do this?
You can do this.
Hey, we need to build a home office. We're adding another bathroom.
I think I'll study programming.
Bro, you even connect your phone to Bluetooth.
We believe you can do whatever you set your mind to, and we'll help you get there. Washington Trust Bank, privately owned, locally invested.
See breaking news in your area or have a story idea? Contact 4 News Now.
The snow continues and a winter weather advisory goes through tomorrow afternoon. These are additional snowfall totals through tomorrow afternoon. And this evening, we are going to be seeing that snow continue.
We'll take a look at the team of young Boeing engineers who are flying high after setting the Guinness World Record for the farthest flight by a paper airplane. More than 290 feet. That's nearly the length of a football field.
Wow.
I want to see it fly.
So
Come
it's just a
on.
regular paper.
There we go.
Wow.
Thank goodness.
I think a lot of that has to do with the throw,
Yeah,
too.
look at that force.
Look like a shot putter or javelin
throw,
guy.
yeah. Wow, that's impressive.
Wow, how much of that is engineering and how much of that is athletics?
It's a good question. Maybe they needed a control on that.